I don't care what kind of life you've lived, what kind of thoughts you've had, nor what makes you sad or happy. I don't want to know. And if I happen to figure out, I'd want to forget. I'm in love with her. I'm in love with her. Meet Eris Miserian, the villainess. But her story isn't actually hers. In fact, she doesn't even come from that world. It's the world of a romance novel where she finds one day she's whisked into. Now she plays the role of the villainess and has to somehow survive every single character who's out for her life. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the genre called Otome Isekai. What is Otome Isekai? By definition, otome directly translates to the word maiden, often seen from the term otome game, a type of romance story-based game aimed at girls and women. Isekai translates directly to different world, often seen as a genre of anime or manga where characters find themselves in other worlds. You might have heard of popular isekai series such as Sword Art Online or ReZero. Combine these two things together and you get a perfect marriage of what we have now as Otome Isekai, which is a subgenre of isekai where protagonist gets transported to a different world where they may face a series of challenges centered around romance and often resembling those of an otome game. On the other hand, you might have heard of popular Otome Isekai series such as My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom, or as some people like to call it as HameFura. While I'm sure there are older series that have female MCs getting transported to another world, the popularity of Otome Isekai about started around when HameFura came out as an anime, and when webtoons such as Who Made Me a Princess or The Reason Why Raeliana Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion was released. I know, their names are long. Classic Isekai. If I had to choose a year, I would say around 2019 to 2020 is when it rose to fame. And boy oh boy was I excited to have found this subgenre when the whole world was in shambles. As the subgenre grew in popularity, more and more series came out, further pushing out stories that broke out of the otome game premise. The subgenre not only grew in Japan, but also in South Korea. While we don't have that many otome isekai anime yet, there are actually so much more otome isekai manga, manhwa, and light novels. Manga is published traditionally as black and white, and they tend to be faster paced with lesser chapters, while manhwa is often published to be full-color scrolling webcomic style, and they're often slower paced with a lot more chapters. Oh, and manga comes from Japan and manhwa comes from Korea. I've read from all these formats, but in this video specifically, I'll be speaking with a bias towards manhwas as I've read way more of them. In Otome Isekai manhwas, often the MC wakes up in a romance novel, either as a side character or a villainess, and they somehow always have to fight against their own ill-fated future. And when I say ill-fated futures, often these futures contain death. It isn't easy to be the villainess. They have rough upbringings, bad reputations, all odds are against them. But being someone from the real world, often these MCs have some type of advantage knowing what their future holds for them. So despite their doomed fates, they have a chance to fight back and make a future of their own. It's easy to root for MCs who are fighting against all odds. Often, they haven't done anything to deserve what they're going through. So yes, I am rooting for these MCs. Kick fate in the butt, MC! In comes the male lead. He's either the Duke, a crown prince, or a knight of some sort, but he's often strategically the key to securing a safer future for the MC. I know, that sounds horrible now that I'm saying it out loud, but if you think about the setting of most of these series, it's most likely in the Victorian times or any times of the olden days, and it makes sense. But also, I don't think about it too deeply because I'm there for the romance. I'm there for the romance, sue me! But jokes aside, genuinely on top of that, I'm absolutely obsessed with this subgenre because of our villainess. They are queens! Pardon me, it won't be the last time I end up fangirling over them. Meet our villainess. We are often served with a plethora of personalities when it comes to the villainess. We've got our happy-go-lucky villainess, we got our scheming villainess, we got our cold villainess, And we got our how do you say this word? Melancholic villainess. Even with the common premise of these stories, you'll never get a cookie cutter type of MC. At least I don't find many of them, for the simple fact that the MC has to take their own fate into their own hands. There is no space to dilly-dally in this world, unless the story is a slice of life, and our villainess decides to just open up a tea shop or a stationery store. And that works too! And we still love her. Again, the variety is impeccable, and it's why these stories are so addictive. One day, I could be reading Eris degrade another one of her annoying suitors to avoid the death flag, and then another day, I could be reading about Meldonique develop a new cosmetic to get big bucks and not die poor. Like, what? Girl, you are an inspiration. I don't remember if that's a story, but just trust me on this one. Also, since our MCs are usually avoiding these so-called death flags as the villainess, the tension of Otome Isekai relatively stay high. Again, unless it's slice of life, and us, as the readers, are kept rooting for the MC from beginning to end. Oh, you think the MC avoided the main death flag? Ha! Plot twist, there's one more hiding under her pillow. I know, most of these villainous cannot catch a break in their story, but it's what makes the story interesting. Like, there are moments when I read these stories and I get a visceral physical reaction because of how crazy and offensive the plot is to MC. Like, yes, I'm talking to you, kill the villainess. But these never-ending death flags is also what makes the payoff so much more worth it in the end. At least I hope so. Because most of these stories I'm reading aren't complete yet. So, dear writers, please give me a break. I just want happiness for the MC.
And revenge.
Is that too much to ask? The whole subgenre of Otome Isekai may have started playing on tropes similar to that of an otome game, but the genre further developed other common plot tropes that branch out of this frame. For instance, one common plot that we have is surviving as a child. I'm not even kidding in this one. There are stories in the subgenre where MC is reborn as a child and often face abuse from their family. But because MC has an adult mind, they can somehow survive. But it's still pretty rough to see this one. It really is. Why do I even read stories like these in the first place? But strangely enough, it's these type of stories that feel the most healing and wholesome to me. Because seeing family shenanigans and it all work out in the end is so worth it. Ha ha. I guess this is the type of fantasy that we're into these days. Another common plot is romancing the Duke of the North. Does that sound too specific for you? Well, it's a trope. Oftentimes, the Duke of the North is stereotypically cold like the climate that they live in. Monstrous even, because the North is often involved with beasts. So if you like your male leads a little cold, a little mean, a little rough around the edges, we have just the stories for you. On top of that, these stories involve some political plot points to them, along the lines of restoring the North, per se, and helping out their people. Finally, another common plot trope is when the MC becomes the parent or the guardian of an important character in a novel they've been isekai'd into. If there's a story of being a child, there's a story of being a parent. I guess we just enjoy the whole found family trope in this genre, now that I'm thinking about it. But these stories are refreshing to see and are usually more lighthearted. I know I've been talking a lot about doom and gloom type of stories, but trust me, there are a lot more fluffy stories out there as well. Now, I've read way too many stories of Otome Isekai since its rise in popularity, so it's difficult to narrow down which ones are my favorites. So I'll try to recommend a variety of stories for y'all to enjoy. Starting out, I recommend Villains Are Destined to Die, which is centered around our MC Penelope, who is isekai'd into her favorite otome game. Except, of course, she's the villainess, and this time she has to survive the hard mode of the game. This series specifically has kept me at the edge of my seat, and I can never tell what's going to happen next, so it's a great read. But it also is still ongoing, so we have so much more to look forward to. Also, if you like insane male leads, this is it. This is where it's at. I also recommend, with similar tension, Kill the Villainess. Eris is the epitome of a villainess. She does not back down and keeps her coldness towards every character that is out for her throat. And the lines she delivers in this manhwa is absolutely jaw-dropping, not exaggerating. I love her so much. And also this one is going to make you mad. In a good way mad. I'll leave it at that. Not lagging behind, I also love Who Made Me a Princess. I know that there's controversy around this one, but that is for a different video. Despite that, this manhwa offers one of the most beautiful art I've ever consumed, and the storytelling, pacing, and delivery of it is just chef's kiss. Athi, our MC, is reborn as the child of the Emperor Claude, a cold-hearted father to say the least, and she has to survive this deathly environment she was born in. The amount of times I've stayed up because of how much I cried over this manhwa is absolutely insane, but it's an experience. 100% recommend. And I guess, to lighten up the mood, I can't just recommend you guys all pain, I also recommend the manhwa for better or for worse. Unlike the previous series I recommended, this specific manhwa has a heavier focus on romance and comedy. The main character Dylan is spunky and goofy, and I love her so much. And her counterpart Cedric has great chemistry with her, and he plays along with her antics, while also clumsily navigating his own feelings. It's a great trip, 100% recommend. Have you fallen in love with a villainess? I have, multiple times, and similarly to Otome Isekai. It shocks me how recent this subgenre has risen in popularity, but it also makes me hopeful to what more we can see in the future. While the animated adaptations are limited now, I have high hopes we'll have more of them in the coming years. Meanwhile, if you like this video, make sure to let me know. What are your favorite Otome Isekai series? I genuinely need more manga recommendations, but regardless of format, I'd love to hear from you guys. This has been Day, signing out. Keep on dreaming, peeps. Bye!